the check and pay me what you owe me. No more band scam talk, no, no, no. No more band scam talk, blah, blah, blah. You stole us, you sold us, you owe us. It's my money and I want it now. It's my money and I can spend it high. How you pocket watching? Stop pocket watching. Cause my pocket's popping. You watch us get raided and you watch us get slaved. Now watch us get paid. Cut the check and pay me what you owe me. No more pan scam talk, no, no, no. No more pan scam talk, no, no, no. Cut the check and pay me what you owe me. No more pan scam talk, no, no, no. No more pan scam talk, blah, blah, blah. You stole us, you sold us, you owe us. It's my money and I want it now. It's my money and I can spend it high. You pocket watching, stop pocket watching. Cause my pocket's popping. You watch us get raided and you watch us get slaved there. Now watch us get paid.
America gotta cut the check. Africa gotta cut the check. Cash App, PayPal, Zelle, we accept it all.
You stole us, you sold us, you owe us. It's my money and I want it now. It's my money and I can spend it how. You pocket watching, stop pocket watching. Cause my pocket's popping. You watch us get raided and you watch us get slaved now. Now watch us get paid.
Peace and thanks for the lineage love and with the super chat. Fresh always, $4.99, man. Appreciate it. I think I'm really good at the R&B stuff. I thought I'd be doing the raps, songs for the lineage, but like the R&B, like it's way easier to make those. I mean, it's hard, but it's way easier than the rap. And then yeah, so if I was a producer, I wouldn't touch rappers. I'd be touching the R&B, the singers. Peace, Pinky Wells. Yeah, so we're talking about um we're talking about reparation claims or a reparation claim. Well, you can say claims because there's multiple parties in Africa that was responsible for our uh unfortunate journey across the coast, 1,000 miles over in America. It wouldn't have happened without Africans. Okay, that's a fact. Without African involvement, there'll be no slave. Matter of fact, let me back up. Uh, without Africa practicing this stuff for 100 years, had a whole system going on. White folks probably most likely would have never even thought they can get that off. Like who can go to a country and say, "Hey, you're selling your own people? How much?" Like most likely you go to a country, they love their own people. They're not trying to ship them off, sell them off. Okay. So with that being said, let's get into it. Waste no time. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, all right, all right. Oh, let me do this one first. I gotta play this one. So I did them already on my channel, but Tariq Nasheed recently played them. So it's only right that I get back on them again. These Pan-Africanists, man. They like to rewrite history. I mean, just plain silly. Look at this.
A organization that was created in the mid 2010s is trying to claim ownership of a flag created in 1967. A anti-Pan-African organization is trying to claim a flag that had African symbols embedded inside of it. Don't take my
All right, hold on. Before I play this, where's my cell phone? God, I
word
hate
for it,
that.
look it up. The sword in this flag symbolizes the authority and leadership of Moorish fighters from the 8th century. The 8th century that came before the plantation. You know the plantation? The one y'all love to say y'all lineage started on? Yeah, that one. Well, according to the designers of this flag, this fig wreath represents a ancient African fruit that comes before the plantation. This right here all illustrates that the African American heritage is something that is
African American heritage. Yeah, this when trolling goes wrong. Okay. He I don't know where he got this research from, jokes.com, comedycentral.com. I don't know where he got his information from, but he memorized it. You know, like it's just show to these guys. He memorized his little speech. This dude said African American heritage flag. He out of his goddamn mind.
this right here all illustrates that the African American heritage is something that is so beautiful and magnificent. It predates before masters started putting us in this foundation of America, being able to strip us from our labor and
Dude,
being able to
sweet as
separate us
hell.
from our flesh. Being against immigration is not gonna get us our reparations, as well as clicking up with white supremacists won't do it.
He said being against immigration. Who the hell is against immigration? We're against how it's being handled. Like nobody's against immigration, but people are against how it's being handled. And we're definitely against illegal immigration. That's 100% correct. And we're against illegal activities, period. Oh, it's not just illegal immigration, illegal activities. We're against all illegal activities, period. Um, but yeah, but why would we want a mass influx of immigrants to undermine job wages and politicians can play little little tricks and everything like that. Yeah, nah, we have an issue with that. 200,000 Senegalese people in Harlem just living in the streets since 2022. Like, how does that help us out? Like, just explain how does 200,000 Senegalese people flooding Harlem streets help out Foundation Black Americans? Like, where's the gain for us? Like, for us to be co-signing something, there needs to be some type of gain. Like, how do we benefit from it? Like, this is competition. The hell, who welcomes competition? Like, you think Burger King is happy they're building a McDonald's across the street from it? Like, come on, dude.
This either. Hey, shout out to all the black Americans that don't have to champion mass deportation, that don't have to be a white supremacy sympathizer to be proud of their
And that's another thing that they want to stick on this white supremacy sympathizer. Yeah, white supremacy hate us more than anybody. What are you talking about, man? This guy's crazy. But he's talking about African stuff. Damn, I recall Africa, which is the topic. I recall Africa doing a joint venture business deal with the white supremacists to sell us. And I recall Marcus Garvey linking up with the Klan to sell us again, sell us to Liberia. What's going on here, buddy? Africa be taking L's. Y'all link up with the Klan too much to try to sell us.
black heritage. Shout out to all the black Americans that ain't got to fight with immigrants to be able to affirm their blackness. Hey, shout out to us. We out here, man.
Okay, all right. This dude is like, I don't even know what to say about this guy. I don't know if he's like trolling or dead ass serious. Uh, you know, don't know. But let me yeah, calling the flag the African American heritage flag. I would love to see the original video now and see the comments there because I know he's getting cooked. Yeah, my man had to disable his comments. He had to. All right. So let me do this right here. Where are we at? Where are we at?
Daddy?
Mm-hmm.
Can't believe that.
can't believe what. Hmm? What? No, put that back. Yeah, trying to be slick. Put that back. Oh boy, this guy is a clown. This dude said African American heritage flag. I think he's dead ass too. Well, I don't know if he's trolling or is he like 100% serious. But anyway, it's not called the. Now he got the date right. He said 1967. It's not, but you see, he didn't mention the people who founded the flag, designed the flag, why they didn't get any shine. Okay. So it's not called the African American Heritage Flag. It's called the Black American Heritage Flag. Okay. So bye bye Africa. And he was right. It was designed in 1967, but you failed to mention who it was designed by. Designed by Melvin Charles and Gleason T. Jackson as a distinct symbol for Black Americans, the U.S. lineage whose ancestors were enslaved in the United States. So, yes, the founder of the flag, Melvin Charles, was delineating. He was saying this is just for Black Americans. And he specifically said folks in the Caribbean got their own flags. Jamaicans, Trinidadians, he listed them by name. And he said the African countries, they got their own flag. Everybody got their own flag, but Foundation Black Americans. And he came up with that flag for us in this country only. The people with the lineage. Okay. So design features a red and black field with a gold wreath and a sword you're looking at. The sword is typically described by the designers as blunted, peace-oriented, strength and self-defense without aggression. The wreath symbolizes honor, achievement, often described as fig or laurel. What it's not is the African American heritage flag. This guy is weird. And it's not a Pan-African flag at all. Uh, yeah, so what he said about the flag was ahistorical and not part of the designer's own stated symbolism. He made it up. Okay, I don't know if he's confusing this with the UNIA red, black, and green flag. I don't know, but this flag, BAHF, Black American Heritage Flag, this flag that was designed in 1967 was a U.S. lineage-based flag. Okay, the flag by Melvin Charles and Gleason T. Jackson is a lineage symbol for U.S. Black Americans, us. Is distinct from the UNIA Pan-African RBG flag. Okay. So now he said that we have an issue with immigrants. No, delineation does not equate to xenophobia. Our core points are ethnonym is not exclusion. FBA ADOS is an ethnonym for a specific U.S. lineage. We keep saying this, descendants of chattel slavery in the U.S. Just like Gullah Geechee, Creole, or any other ethnic designation, naming a lineage does not attack anyone else's identity. Stop gaslighting. Okay, now we are policy targeting when it comes to immigration. We're not being prejudiced. The policy goal is lineage-based redress for a specific state infliction harm. And that's why I but that's why I played the two videos earlier about the two candidates speaking about legislators speaking about ADOS and Friedman. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. So it's policy targeting, not being prejudiced, but you're not going to make us get off our you're not going to make us change our course. Okay, so the policy goal is lineage-based redress for a specific state-inflicted harm, American slavery, Jim Crow, ongoing discrimination. So that requires eligibility definitions, which is standard in every successful redress program. Coalition is so now we focus on coalition, not capitulation. Okay, you can work with immigrants and other African Caribbean groups on shared issues and keep a precise reparations claim. You see, precision helps the claim, it doesn't harm solidarity. We're not in anybody's way who's standing behind CARICOM. A clear lineage name is normal and necessary for targeted policy. FBA ADOS policy arguments are about jurisdiction and eligibility, not what you guys want to frame it as. So people still saying freedmen. I agree with Donnie Williams. I need to go check out the video yesterday, and don't just read the title. See, everybody's reading the title. Okay, listen, we can't take on tether behavior. Like, let's stop being lazy and watch the results of the video. Okay, are you Freedman was a temporary status name that the American government assigned us temporarily. Okay, the 14th Amendment was then put together in 1868, and then they went to more of a white, black, Negro terminology. So freedmen was stuck at that time, 1865 to about 1872. That was it. We were never called freedmen ever again. We were called colored, Negro, and then black, and then we're FBA. So, but go watch the video, and you'll see that you'll learn a lot. That's all I'll say to that. Okay. What else? Are we here? I think that's it for that. Let's move on. And let's go back here. Let's go back here. Let's go back here briefly. Give me a second to fix it. All right, cool. Okay, so let's get to the topic. Does Africa owe reparations to Foundation Black Americans? Not exclusively, okay, because the diaspora period, but we're gonna argue for ourselves.
You know what? When we talk about reparations and who owe us reparations, it's more than the United States government. It's governments in
Peace, Rich
Africa that
Religion,
owe us
LA.
reparations.
Kia
Those
Ho,
tribes
Bro
that
Fresh Always,
participated
Flowers
in
Galore, Sweetie
our
Marie,
kidnapping and being sold into
Deacon
slavery
One,
also owe us reparations.
J,
We have to understand that many of our ancestors were prestigious. They owned
Enoch
land, they
the
owned
Elect.
wealth, they owned inheritance. That's what they lost. Not just their freedom and their
First class
lives, but
citizen.
their wealth, their inheritance that would have came down to their descendants. And so when I say that there are certain tribes in Africa that must be held accountable, some people say, well, they already apologized. That's not enough. What about the inheritance, the wealth, the land that was illegally confiscated? That too must be accounted for.
I agree wholeheartedly. Okay, so now, shall we begin? Shall we begin? All right, so viewer discretion advised. If you got this infinity for Africa, you got this love where Africa's perfect, did no harm, yeah, you might not like this live right here. Ray, Alexis Berry. Okay, so let's get started. Oh, first of all, before I get started, let me tell you about some failed attempts for Africa and the Caribbean to get together on some kumbaya shit that wasn't involved around us. Okay, because what happens is, family, that they tried to get together amongst themselves without us, and it flopped very fast, very quickly. So they feel like we are the glue. They feel like they can't get along without us there. Okay, so both Pan-African federations of the 1960s, yes, Pan-African federations, and the West Indies Federation, 1955, 1958, almost the same time, 1960, 1958, about the same time. They both were born out of similar hopes: unity, economic integration. Hold on. Okay. So they both were born out of similar hopes: unity, economic integration, and collective strength after colonialism, but both collapsed within a few years. Okay. Why Pan-African federations of the 1960s failed? Okay, this is the Pan-African thing that they're trying in the 1960s. What happened? Several attempts at regional or continental federations emerged as African nations gained independence, 1957 onward. Okay, so anybody study Africa and the Caribbean, you know a lot of them was getting independence around like the 1960s. Okay, so we need to ask these Pan-Africans this, like, hey man, all this Pan-African, and by the way, they want to unite all of, you know, 50 states in America, all the islands, and all 54 countries of Africa when they could not unite amongst themselves. They tried already, they fell, it's over. Listen, Mali Federation, Senegal, and Mali, 1960. They try to get together on some Pan-African mumbo jumbo. It collapsed within months, family. It collapsed within months due to Senegal versus Mali leadership conflicts. Months, it was over. How about the United Arab Republic, Egypt, and Syria, right? Fell apart due to Egypt's domination. Casablanca Group versus Monrovia Group. Ideological split over how quickly African states should unify. Flopped. Organization of African Unity, 1963, became a loose club rather than a real federation. Now look at the main reasons why they failed. Listen, who's surprised? Leadership rivalries. Nkrumah, they always brag about him, you know, Nkrumah, Ghana's president. He wanted immediate continental government. Senghor from Senegal, uh, you got Hopefully Boigny, Ivory Coast, preferred gradualism. Each leader feared losing national power. Family, they was all about me, 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 me. Forget about them on some Maya stuff, bruh. They was all about themselves. Why couldn't these leaders get together? You got Ghana, Senegal, and the Ivory Coast. Egos. The Pan-Africanist movement failed already. That's in the past. It's time to move forward. National sovereignty over unity. Another reason why they failed. Countries had just won independence and were reluctant to hand it away. They said, well, no, we got independence. Wait, what you mean get together with you? So family, the independent thing was a nothing burger. It discouraged unity amongst them. It discouraged unity amongst them by going independent. That was a selfish move, it seems like. Ideological splits, radical socialists versus moderate capitalists versus pro-Western governments. Economic disparities, richer states resisted subsidizing poor ones. Example, Nigeria versus smaller states. External interference. Okay, Cold War powers, USSR, France, Britain exploited divisions and bribed leaders to keep Africa fragmented. Give a dog a bone. Look, that's USSR, that's Russia. Oh, yeah. Well, Russia never colonized. Yeah, but they're giving a dog a bone. They bribe African leaders to keep Africa fragmented, and these thirsty, greedy bastards fell for it. Nobody forced them. When you hear the narrative, they always act like somebody went in there and forced and handcuffed and beat people up. No, it never happened. These guys were complicit. They volunteered their services, trades, commerce with these white folks. Let's talk about the West Indies Federation, why it fell from 1958 to 1962. This was an effort to unite the English-speaking Caribbean colonies, Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, and smaller islands. Okay, so the main reason why they fell was unequal size and wealth. Jamaica and Trinidad were the biggest islands, 80% of population plus economy. Smaller islands feared being dominated because they know how these guys are. Weak federal power. Weak federal power. The Federation had no real authority over taxation, defense, or trade. National governments kept the real power. You feel me? They wasn't reluctant. They were not. They were reluctant to share the power to spread it across. Leadership conflicts. Here we go again. Bustamante, Jamaica, Williams, Trinidad, and other leaders clashed. Nobody wanted to give up authority. Family, they wouldn't hold the line. They wouldn't hold the line, like Dr. Khalid Muhammad said. Public skepticism. Uh-oh, here we go. Skepticism. Ordinary Jamaicans and Trinidadians didn't see what they would gain from subsidizing smaller islands. Family, they wanted to gain something. They said, the hell with uh skin folk is kinfolk. We can't gain uniting with you. Ain't that what we say about them today? It's like, well, what's the gaining with you? We unite with you guys in America. Like, how do we gain? Ain't that ain't that ain't that where were your attitudes at that time? Referendums and withdrawal. In 1961, Jamaica voted to leave the Federation. Family. Jamaica said, yo, we out of here. Go lay down. Go. That way. Go. You're gonna knock some down. Go. Okay. So, Jamaica said, the hell with this. Okay. They left within 3 to 4 years. This was another failed nothing burger.
Ones that we care about are the ones that care about us. That's period. So the whole bragging rights, the whole
Give me a
trying
second.
to
I'll
prove
come
a
back to
point, you
this.
ain't got to prove a point to me. I'm not the one traumatizing you. I'm not the one. Me or my people, we're not the ones that enslaved you guys. We're not the ones that even sold you, even if it's our forefathers that sold you guys. We're not the ones that did it. So why are you still carrying that hate in your heart? Let it go. Let it go so you can move forward. You
Ma'am,
cannot be a
ma'am,
victim for the rest of your
ma'am,
life. You
ma'am.
cannot be a victim for the rest of your life. Come out of that victim mentality so you can actually
Uh-oh.
succeed. Come out of that
Uh-oh.
victim mentality so you can actually live. Come out from that victim mentality so you can actually progress. You get? We are the
Ma'am,
leaders
Queen,
of
I
tomorrow.
asked
We
you
ma'am,
are the leaders
all I
of
asked,
tomorrow. We are the leaders of tomorrow. The
ma'am,
only way we can
ma'am,
be the leaders of
Queen,
tomorrow
all I asked you
is
to do
if
was talk to a
ma'am.
Fulani.
shut up,
Let the
man.
record reflect. I just asked them.
All right, my bad. Okay. Let's get back to it. Um, okay. So Jamaica left within 3 to 4 years, family. So you got the African nations could not come together. Um, you got the West Indians that they couldn't come together. And then you got colonial legacy, right? Britain encouraged federation to simply decolonization, but did not provide enough economic support to make it attractive. So yes, it was Great Britain who encouraged the federation. It was the white man's idea for these West Indians to get together and create the West Indies and come under one flag and one government. It wasn't even the Caribbean idea. 3 to 4 years, and they left it alone. So Jamaica got independence in 1962, and so did Trinidad. 1962, 3 years later, um, we had our immigration, the Hart-Celler Immigration Act passed, and those Jamaicans said, "The hell with Jamaica and its independence crap. We're out. We're out. We're coming to America on some Eddie Murphy type, Eddie Murphy type time." Now listen, look. I'm gonna type this in right here. There's nobody out there besides me doing research like this. Check this out. Watch this right here, family. No, Jamaicans didn't vote to remain under British rule. Instead, they voted in a 1961 referendum to. No, no, no. That's not what I want. I want them to take the poll. It's a poll. So I put the wrong language there. I wanted it to be a poll. Oh, let me go back. Go back. No, no. It wasn't a vote. My fault. Take a poll. Did they? There we go. Did they take a poll? Can I spell? Let me just put that in right there. Okay. Okay, right here. So recent polls show that a majority of Jamaicans support becoming a republic, not remaining under British rule. This view remarks a reversal from polls conducted around 2011, which indicated a preference for retaining the monarchy. Look, in 2011, family, that's what, 14 years ago? Uh, Surveys commissioned by the Gleaner found that 60% of Jamaicans believe the country would have been better off if it had remained a British colony. In 2011, they resented being independent. They wanted to remain a British colony. We fight to get away from white supremacy. They fight to be remained with white supremacy. Now you see why we got two different outlooks in America. Read that over. I give you some time. Matter of fact, let me help you out. Let me do a border so you don't. Somebody I got ADD. All right. Let me help you focus. Okay. Look at that. That's 2000. That's 2011. Most of the country did not want to be independent and run their own shit. They wanted to be under the white man's thumb, the colonizer. And they talk all this colonizer talk. Oh, the colonizer, neocolonialism, all that imperialism. They talk all that talk. But almost the entire country rather be under the thumb of white supremacy than run it themselves. But they'll tell you they fight the Maroon War and all this shit. Okay, whatever. Yeah. Okay. So this will make me unique. This type of information I bring that ugly information. Okay, I bring that ugly truth. This that Bubba Sparks. So let me leave that there while I read. Okay. So as I said, Britain encouraged them to create a West Indies Federation to come together under one banner, West Indian, one flag or West Indian flag. They didn't create one, but one government, one currency. Okay. 3 years, they said, nah, the hell with this. We going back to Zaddy. You know what? And we gonna flee, flee, flee. Yeah, it says it. In the 2000s. This ain't 1940, 1920. This is the 2000s. They rather be under British control than their own black sovereignty. They talk all that sovereignty talk. Marcus Garvey and these dudes wanted to remain under the British control. Like I said, they're not like us. We're different. There's nothing wrong being different, but I'm going to embrace my differences. I'm not going to be ashamed to say I'm different. Okay. All right. So let me get rid of this. Yeah. So where are the revenues now? Where are the revenues now? Okay. Africans can't afford to pay us. Their money isn't worth anything. They can give us some land. So remember that they talk about cobalt? Move out of the way. Let's get that cobalt. Let's create some cell phones. You dig? Let's go ahead and get a nuclear. Let's get some of that nuclear energy. Let's get some of that gold. Show them how to work that gold. All right. So now let's get deep. Let's get deep. Why do Pan-Africanists often downplay Africa's role in the transatlantic slave trade? Hmm? It's called the transatlantic slave trade. Okay. Trading for money. Maybe because of emotional identity protection. How about admitting Africa sold us feels like betrayal of the motherland and it undermines romanticizing Pan-African unity? It's kind of hard to pull that Pan-African garbage to the people who were sold by Africans. Political utility. Pan-Africanism depends on framing Africa as purely the victim of the white man, and acknowledging complicity risks weakening solidarity. How about semantic shielding? What does that mean? By saying we were stolen, we were kidnapped, we were captured, we were took. Those words places all the guilt on Europeans. When I first heard that word, after I know what happened to us, that we were sold by them, when I heard Pan-Africanists constantly say kidnapped and stolen, I'm like, wait a minute. That sounds like the Europeans did the kidnapping and stealing. So that's what led me to ask Unc, like your Unc, who stole us? The Dutch? Hell no. Hell to the no. You dig? No, that's not how that works. But they use those words, stolen, kidnapped, captured, took, to place all the guilt and blame on Europeans. Okay, this word choice avoids admitting that African elites were active suppliers. What are some other ways and reasons why they want to downplay Africa's role? Strategic deflection. Some believe that stressing Africa's role gives racist ammo, white supremacy ammo to say, see, your own people sold you. So instead of engaging with that nuance, these Pan-Africanists rather deny or soften it. How about religious moral argument? Could that be a reason? Some Pan-Africanists argue African enslavement was different, domestic, non-chattel. and therefore Africans couldn't have sold anyone. Only Europeans invented true slavery. Okay, and that becomes their loophole. They like to compare the slaveries. Where we at? Where we at? V4 Vengeance. Peace to you, man. Been a while. All right. So let's keep going. Just making sure nobody's crying in their emotions. I'm checking the chat. This is what it is. This is the history. So when you ask Pan-Africanists or Africans, hey, the African sellers, and listen, this is their common response. Just ask them. And instead of answering that simple question with a yes or no, the African rulers sell captives to Europeans? Yes or no? They'll turn that and hold on.
About the
Baby
Fulani.
boo,
Don't you know
baby boo,
the
Nikki
I go
Devon
Fulani
back.
asked
went
about the
went
If it
from
a,
Greeks,
some
if
people
and
it a
y'all
without
have
shift
been
dying.
you,
going crazy
if
Are you
it a
since.
mute your
shift you,
mic?
may
Like,
they
what are we
shift you.
doing?
If it a shift you, may they shift you.
Just
That
have that
if it
smoke
is
for the
turning
Thank,
Fulani,
you,
thank,
Queen.
Shut the
thank
fuck
you
up,
I
for
Mr.
talk
saying
Rio.
that.
Mute
I
your niggas.
talk to
Oh, Jesus Christ. Re-ups. Let her
I
finish,
talk to
okay?
no,
1 minute,
no,
1 minute,
I dey
one
shift am.
minute, 1 minute, one
I
minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Let re-ups. Please do not interject, okay? Like I said before, we have lots of requests. Other people need to speak, okay? Let it round up so move on to new speakers, okay? Melody, round up so move on to someone else.
like I said. Sorry, R15, please stop meeting me. I'm gonna finish
It's
before the
double
market.
meeting. We're not be R15 now. Double meeting melody. Not being the
No,
down.
oh, I don't know
Now
what
the
that
net,
is.
now the glitch or something like that.
Yeah. Son's sleepy, so he get into his little crying rage. Not rage, but his little last cry before he sleeps. So yeah. So when you ask them a simple question, did African rulers sell captives to Europeans? You'll get everything under the sun. And they will turn that question, that yes or no question, to a 1400-year saga of Africa under siege. That avoidance, not clarity. Okay, that's avoidance, not clarity. Yes, Arabs exploited Africa because they're going to talk about that. Yes, Europeans built the Atlantic trade. They're gonna talk about that. Just say, yeah, that happened. Don't even argue. Yes, that happened. But what's the hard truth? The hard truth is that African elites, did sell captives to Europeans. And that's why it was called the Transatlantic Slave Trade. Trade. So denying that role doesn't unify us. They want to claim, hey, yes, unify. Well, lying won't get that done. It just confuses everybody historical accounts. Pan-Africans will also say Africa or Africans were also victims of external forces, and the context was complex. They would say that. They'll change the subject, they'll romanticize Africa, and redirect the blame entirely to outsiders, Islam, Christianity, Europe, while never directly answering the question, yes or no, did Africans sell us to Europeans? Yes or no? Nope. You'll get a 1400-year lesson about Islam and Christianity. You'll learn about Islamic slave trade, sub-Saharan Arab trade. You'll be introduced to tribute systems. You'll learn about Europeans redirected and already existing traffic. They'll say Africans were capturing pagans or prisoners of war. They'll justify it. Okay. But all of that is not going to ignore the fact that African rulers and elites sold us to Europeans for goods at the coast. Okay. Naming the homies. So we got names, Dahomey, Asante, Oyo, Congo, etc. They built economies on slave exports. So we have to acknowledge the well-documented exchanges of captives for guns, liquor, textiles, calories, K2, scissor, and fentanyl. Okay? They'll frame it into a siege narrative to absolve African agency. Not on my clock, not on my dime. Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. You got to tell the truth. You got to tell the truth. Okay? Anybody crying in the chat? Everybody good? Chosen 1619, peace. In the building, Ray Ray. Africans are not ashamed of slavery. All right. Why go against? Why go against mountains of primary sources? Ship logs, European trade records, and African oral histories that record Africans selling us at ports like Elmina, Wida, and Bani. Okay? The Homie Kings openly admitted their role in chiefs in Ghana and Benin, apologized in 1999 and 2006 for their ancestors' involvement. I'm building a case for reparations by going over the history. So all of what I just said is a historical fact. The Arab slave trade was real, and yes, it predates the Atlantic system. So, because the existence of an earlier trade doesn't erase the fact that African rulers still captured, stole, kidnapped, took us, and sold us directly to Europeans once the Atlantic trade started. They'll say Arabs started it. I'm psyched. So? Well, the Arabs started it. It's like, so? That's like joining a criminal heist and telling the feds that you didn't come up with the idea to avoid punishment. They're like, all right, man, whatever. Just tell us you know, who's the brains, and he'll get the brunt of the, the sentence, but you still going down? The Atlantic trade still required African middlemen. There's no way around that. It wouldn't have happened without them. Some of these Pan-Africans or Pan-Africans will say when the Portuguese and the Spanish took over, they just redirected the traffic. Okay. Saying when they took over the existing slave system from the Arabs and whoever else, they just redirected the traffic. No. Europeans didn't just redirect. They built coastal forts and negotiated directly with African rulers who supplied captives from inland wars. The traffic didn't exist in Atlantic form until Africans began selling captives at the coast to European ships. That's when the Atlantic form began. Okay, this was not just a rerouting of Arab trade. Like they just took, okay, we'll take it from here. You know how you could buy a company and fire everybody and just continue the business. That's not what happened. Europeans didn't say, all right, Arabs, we could take it from here. Move out the way. We'll buy it. No. What Europeans did was new. It was massive commercial. It was a massive commercial system. Think about it. 12.5 million of us was shipped across the Atlantic with African kingdoms like Dahomey building state economies on it. These guys getting fat and rich. They'll say Africans weren't selling each other. It was context of war, pagans and prisoners of war, to try to make you feel like, oh, okay. We all one. Okay, however you want to frame it, however you want to frame it, pagans and prisoners of war, whatever. While you were manhandling pagans and prisoners of war, did you sell them? Did you eventually sell them? Okay, done deal. That's a L. That's all. Are those pagans and prisoners of wars, would you call them African? Okay. Then you sold Africans. Cool. All right. They were sold to the white man. So changing the label from us to pagans or prisoners of war doesn't erase the fact of a trade. Every slaving society justified enslavement as war captives. Romans did it, Arabs did it, Europeans did it, Africans did it, and now Pan-Africanists are doing it. Justification doesn't erase participation. Then they'll say, hey, the majority of us are here in America or the Americas because of our ancestors were pagans, right? And that would make the capture justified. They were pagans. So they want to say, hey, our ancestors were like, you know, just bad at spirituality. In reality, that's religious framing. Okay, so that religious framing obscures the fact that African rulers made active economic choices. They didn't simply hand over pagans to the European. They negotiated contracts, collected taxes, and demanded payment in guns, goods, K2, fentanyl, things like that. So it wasn't just religious justification. Ooh, pagan. It was a business model. Ports like Ouida and Bani had slave markets where Africans sold captives at set prices. Hey, look at this chat. Take a little breather. Hold on. He is knocked out. Give me a second. Okay. How we doing, family? How are we doing? How are we doing? Braxton, the snake fiend. Been a while. Been a while. Been a while. Been a while. Who else pulled up? Let me refresh this chat. Yeah, so this was supposed to go down earlier, late afternoon, but unfortunately, when I sat down, I didn't realize that the table I sat, the outlet was damaged. It was no good. It was like a red lit up dot. Okay. All right, all right, all right. Where are we? Okay. So, family, the rhetorical question is, why do Pan-Africanists dodge what I just read? Is to preserve a romanticized Mother Africa unity nothing burger. Is to avoid giving racist ammo. Your people sold you, which is a fact. Is to reframe slavery as only European Arab aggression, erasing African complicity. They'll even say this. They'll even do some dumbness like this. They'll say, we weren't stolen, we were traded for goods. And that's just foolish. Africans stole us and then they sold us. Cut the check, now they owe us. Stolen, they use terms like stolen because it implies Europeans invaded Africa en masse. That's a historical falsehood. The Portuguese, listen, family, listen carefully. The Portuguese, the Dutch, and the English had less than 30 coastal forts total. They lacked manpower to penetrate the interior. Africans like Dahomey, Ashanti, Yoruba, Congo kingdoms, etc., supplied captives to Europeans in exchange for guns, liquor, textiles, K2, and scissor. Okay. It was a trading system. Africans and Europeans worked together. They had a multiple membership LLP, LLC, or they did a Dame Dash and formed a joint venture like he did with Def Jam and Rockefeller, or they did a Steve Stout. The Africans did a Steve Stout move and signed a distribution deal with the UN. Nevertheless, they worked out a deal with the white man. Africans worked out a deal with the white man. They were in business together. They were in bed together, business wise. Pause. Chiefs in Benin, Ghana, and Sierra Leone have publicly apologized in 1999, 2006 for their ancestors' role. That's documented. You cannot deny what the chiefs themselves admitted is stupid. Europeans paid custom fees, issued receipts, and kept ledgers with African middlemen. Those records used the language of commerce, which is sold for, exchange, cargo. That means somebody was sold and bought. The Moors, Arabs, and Europeans had overlapping roles, but the Atlantic trade literally depended on African suppliers. So both can be true. Europe created the global market and profited most. African elites supplied captives. Okay. So whether you call it captive, prisoner, stolen, kidnapped, they were took, the fact remains Africans exercise ownership by ownership power. They exercise ownership power by selling captives. So when Dahomey exchanged POWs for muskets, that was a transaction. I mean, they were selling us left. They sold 12.5 million of us. Africans are the best salesmen ever in history. They sold 12.5 of us. All right. What else? Yeah, so Pan-African, uh, their denial is emotional, not historical. They want to protect a romanticized Africa and be the victim forever. Okay. So when the Pan-Africanists say we were stolen and they don't say traded, they're shifting blame to European alone. That's weird. So they're shifting blame to European or Europe alone and advocating um, terrorism. All right. Anyway, so yes, you want to use those funny words or funny terms? Took, stolen, kidnapped. Yes, Africans were took. They were stolen. They were kidnapped, but it was done by their own people. Yeah. So when they say stolen, kidnapped, all they doing is avoiding blaming Africa. Yeah, man, this is the hard truth. So I'm making a case for reparations. I got to first point out the harm and the injured party. I'm reading and finding out that's how reparations works. That's how reparations work. All right. So Yeah, let me stop right there. And let me do this. MC Fact. Oh shit. I ain't mean to put the zoom. My bad. I ain't mean to put the zoom out there. That was my fault. Yeah, so I was up last night. I did it last night. I did a late live. Freedmen versus FBA, which is a better ethnonym, to describe the lineage in 2025. I started live at 12 a.m. And I never got rest from there. So, but I want y'all to see where I'm going with the information. So I'm making a case. I'm showing how Africa was very complicit in stealing us and then kidnapping us, taking us, slave raiding us, and then selling us to Europeans. Right. So I'm covering all that. And this was a sneak peek. I'm gonna go harder tomorrow. Very, very much harder. Yes, I'm still focused. Still focused. I'm still gonna get this out. I'm making a claim for reparations for Africa. I know they broke, but they got land. They got land somewhere. They can offer land. All right. So I'm gonna stop it right there because I got a lot more to go. And I don't have a lot more to go inside me. Okay, pause. I was on up late last night live. I think I got off the live like maybe 2 a.m. Yeah, so my energy is down today. Just naturally, just need rest. So it doesn't make any sense to do a long live tonight. And then, then it's like a never ending cycle. I wake up, go live again. I'm never getting any rest. So I'm gonna take tonight off to but I want y'all to see where I'm going. That's all. That's important to me. I think y'all see me framing the case for reparations against Africa. You know, to think about that. But yeah. So we'll do a part two because this afternoon didn't count. I guess it did kind of. So we'll do a part three tomorrow. It's gonna get dirty. It's gonna get ugly. You're gonna learn a lot about Africa that isn't beautiful. All right, family. We we don't have a beef in the diaspora. The diaspora war is completely one-sided. It's a bunch of tethers just talking about us all day long. And you listen to what they're saying, none of it is like true. It's like all just like anecdotal, just biased and no real nothing. So anyway, family, I'll pick up and go deeper with the case, and then once. So right now, I got to frame the history for you guys, so you can see what was being done to us by Africans. Okay, without the white man, just what they were doing to us by themselves. Brutal. All right, so I'm live early tomorrow morning. Hopefully, I catch that in part three. Peace to the fam. Good night, because I'm definitely going to bed. It'll be a good night for me. Good night. And part 3 tomorrow. I'm gonna probably finish it tomorrow.